much all participants and also speakers. Good afternoon in Indonesia, and also good morning good afternoon in Indonesia and good morning in Europe. Yeah, Professor Wolfgang Drexel is in Germany right now. Welcome to the talk show Digital Transformation of Indonesian Bureaucracy. Welcome to today's talk show to our speaker. I would like to introduce our speaker. Professor Dr. Agus Pramusinto is chairman of the Indonesian Civil Service Commissions. Welcome, Prof. Agus. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Professor Wolfgang Drexel is professor at Tallinn University of Technology, Ragnar Nuksi School of Innovation and Governance, Estonia. He is also honorary professor at the UCL Institute for Innovation and for Public Purpose, and also Devi Center at Harvard University. Thank you very much, Professor Wolfgang Drexel. Welcome. And we have also Professor Taiwu Nam from Sungkyun Kwon University, Republic of Korea. Thank you very much. Welcome to Professor Nam. Thank you. And also we have Mr. Cahyono Tribirowo, Deputy Assistant Ministry for Administrative Reform, in charge for electronic governments in Indonesian governments. So, ladies and gentlemen, our participants and also speakers, the development of various advanced technologies such as information and communication technology, robotic technology, and also nanotechnology has caused fundamental changes in various relations among government units, between government and society, and also between members of the community itself. This fundamental change is marked by the use of various technological instruments, such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and big data in various policy-making process, government decision, and also public service delivery. All of these things require the government to carry out digital transformations, no longer analog and also linear reform. Digital transformation takes place as whole, both related to changes in business process, changes in work mechanisms, changes in competences, and also changes in culture by utilizing the advantages of technology. Comprehensive change using this technology will force everyone and everything to change simultaneously, including the relationship that occurs between government and society. And the COVID-19 pandemic that has occurred for approximately 2 years has forced the use of technology by the government and the private sector in various activities. So digital transformation is not just automation and not digitization, but a process of fundamental change of all components in an interrelated system. Therefore, it is necessary to change the ecosystem that can support new work mechanism, new competencies, and new cultures, integration of various government activities, creating new public value for the community more quickly, transparently, and also accountably. The use of super application technology is a must, as is the need to develop a complete digital governance architecture, including the data security, data integration, and also data information system. How to start all of this? What can we learn from the cases of Korea and Estonia, two countries that are very well known for their digital governance advancement? What has been done by Indonesia, and how is the plan to implement digital governance in Indonesia? So this is my introduction. Welcome to this talk show, and I would like to thank you to our honorable speaker today. This talk show will be arranged in such a way So I have three key questions that I will ask the speakers in 3 rounds of discussions. I will ask the speakers to give their opinion on the questions. And after finishing 3 rounds of discussion, I will open the opportunity for the talk show participant to ask questions to the speakers, and each speaker will answer them. So I will start this discussion by asking our speakers the first questions. What are the important components and variables to start an action plan for digital transformation? How was the experience of Korea and Estonia? And what is currently government of Indonesia doing and also preparing for digital transformations? So this is my first questions. Maybe we could give time for Professor Wolfgang Drexel first. You could mention about the experience of Estonia in starting digital transformation. And then I would like to give time to Professor Nam and maybe to Mr. Cahyono and then Professor Agus Pramusinto. So please, Professor Wolfgang Drexel, time is yours.
Yes, thanks, Prof. Eko. It's an honor, pleasure, and privilege to be here this morning, as it is indeed from Europe and in such a distinguished panel, and talk about such an exciting topic, and especially in the context of Indonesia, because from Indonesia as one of the great democracies in the world, and one of the really advanced ecosystems in many ways of governance already, I actually expect a level of leadership rather than following, and a level of initiative that I see as a fundamental task for Indonesia. And I think it's always exciting to learn from the possibilities of what to do in Indonesia. Digital transformation is always, and this I now say with my London hat on, not with the Estonian one, also a question of directionality. That means, where are you actually going with this, and what is your purpose? And if digital transformation is used for the bad, to set back human freedom and human happiness and so on, then it's obviously a form of dark innovation that we shouldn't forget. Whereas on the other hand, I found, for instance, the recent statements by Indonesia as far as the terrible situation with the military takeover in Myanmar, really world leading and very much setting a moral frame for everything that shows exactly the kind of direction that you can then support with a technical side. Now, what I found really important in your opening statement is too many people think that digital transformation is the same as digitalization, and it's not. The key thing we need to look at here is that even to change interactions on the digital sphere in governance is still digitalization. Yeah, if I apply for a permit online from a ministry, that's digitalized. Digital transformation means that also the organizational logic changes, and also the interaction within the organizations and so on change. And here is a thing. If I look at Estonia, which is often credited as being a very advanced digital society, or if I look at your neighbor Singapore, which really is probably the leading digital public service provision nation in the world, what I see here, and one of the lessons that we've learned in the last 10 to 15 years is that digitalization does not automatically lead to digital transformation. In other words, the more I move to the digital doesn't mean at all that the public sector changes, transforms, is in line with that. And I think what is really important here is that in those countries that have been successful with digital transformation, this is always premised on a highly competent and capable public sector and civil service. Without this, this is not possible. You just can't let it go. And what is important is that if I want to have public sector reform that leads to digital transformation, this needs to be done separately in conjunction with, but not automatically tied to the digitalization. So this is something that you can definitely learn from Estonia. I think that this Estonia has been quite a top-down, long-term effort that is often mirrored differently. I would say the same is the case with Singapore. So the idea that civil service weaknesses can be compensated by digitalization is exactly wrong. But it is a strengthening of the competences and capacities in the public sector that then can lead to a digital transformation in line with the times. And the last thing I want to say is, obviously, as always in technological change, the context. That means direct transfer of policies is almost never possible. So what you can do is you can learn from other experiences by looking at that and comparing to the context that you actually have. As I mentioned before, Indonesia is a very specific case as far as wealth, as far as size, as far as economy, as far as status in the world is concerned. So I wouldn't know a nation from which Indonesia could copy-paste, but there are several ones, as you mentioned, from which it's very fruitful to learn by one's own standards and by one's own values. So thank you for the first round.
Thank you very much, Professor Wolfgang Drexels. Can I ask from your statement, so what should come first? Development of competencies of the civil servants or the installment of technology? What should come first, Professor Wolfgang Drexels?
I am afraid, as so often, the challenge in anything innovative is that it has to go in synergy together. You can't take one step after the other. And in an ecosystem, this is what two of my colleagues and I argue in a forthcoming book this year with Yale University Press. What you need is agile stability. That means you need the basic stable foundation on which to do things and the agile competence to deal with challenges as they arise. This is a huge challenge indeed, and it's costly and it takes a lot of effort, but nobody said that high quality public sector was cheap or came easy, right? So what I can say is you go along with the technical developments as they arise, but if that would be on a really weak foundation as far as the civil service is concerned, it would be almost impossible to manage, because then you lose your digital sovereignty and other countries and people will do it for you. If I may say that as a comment, that fortunately is not the case for Indonesia.
Thank you, Professor Drexels. And I would like to give the time to Professor Nam. Please, Professor Nam.
Thank you for having me, and it's my honor to be invited to this very important talk show. I'm sorry for two things. First thing is my background is not the picture you suggested, because my computer is very low-level video card, so the dimmed image. And second thing, I'm in my home. I'm at home actually, so work-life balance no longer anymore with the coronavirus. So I have some interruption, my kids, so I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah. Thank you for your understanding. If we are now talking about the first general question, I think strategic actions for digital transformation to develop the digital ecosystem. I think this question is very important, a very fundamental question, I think. Professor Drexler already said, I almost agree, totally agree actually what he said. In Korean case, Korea used two approaches to creating digital ecosystem. The first one is, as you know, government driven, top down. So just Professor Echo asked, civil service improvement first or technological adjustments first? Which one is first should be? Yeah, that's almost the same question actually. The government-driven or top-down approach, that's the first approach. And the second approach, not the second approach, sometimes prioritized strategy is changed. The market-driven, bottom-up. As you know, Korea has the big corporate, Samsung Electronics, and United States has Google, or Amazon, so big platform companies. And maybe Estonia has another company, I think, the Skype. Skype is Estonia's company, maybe. Yeah. So I think sometimes some national policies for digital transformation, depending on the corporate direction. So government should have depend on what they said, actually, sometimes. So Samsung Electronics said that is more important than what civil servants really want. So, but mostly, Korean ways for digital transformation is government driven. That's why academic scholars like me have some complaints or critics, because government think we are now doing very just right thing, but actually not right thing, not right thing. That's 1960s, 1970s, 1980s story. Now 2022. So we are now living in the open society. People, the lay people, ordinary citizens, they know much more than government sometimes. So we need to get some feedback from the private sector and the companies and small entrepreneurs and even ordinary citizens. So government has now more complicated situation, very complicated situation. That's the government dilemma. That's the very serious, wicked problem, actually. So digital transformation, people think digital transformation is one way to tackle wicked problem. But I think digital transformation is one more wicked problem. It itself is wicked problem in Korea, because there are so many issues. Digital divide or poor and rich gap is more serious than before with digital transformation, because some people have more accessibility to new digital devices or new digital opportunities. So that kind of things happen. So Korea has now strategic actions for two ways mixing, government-driven and also market-driven. It's mixing together. That can be said as platform governance. So government can be coordinated as a platform. Platform means here, bring everyone, bring every actors, all actors to the platform. That's one way. So government, market, civil society, everything, everyone can be included in the platform situation, platform governance. That's one strategic big action, I think. And also, one more issue is the national policy for strategic actions of digital transformation can be helpful for improving the public sector, absolutely, but not really for the whole country. Because in Korea, I don't know the Indonesian situation exactly, but in Korea, the three levels of government, the central government and the provincial level government and the local level government, but local level government people have very low level of digital capacity. This does not mean their human intelligence. That does not mean that, actually. Organizational structure is very different, and their ordinary mission is very daily actions, daily feedback to citizens' needs. So it's not low level and high level metaphor, but as you know, the high level structure, the public servants, they have very different supreme level of digital capacity, I think. Big data analytics or AI applied sense. There are so many that kind of digital capacities they have. So the gap is bigger and bigger every day, I think. So low level, especially local level government people and the provincial level government people and the higher level or the national level government people, they have various different strengths. But now, journalism and civil society and people, including the scholars, we think digital transformation is about technology, but I don't think so. It can be about technologies partly, but mostly it is not about digital itself. It's more about social change and the people's consensus. Without the consensus and without the motivation, digital transformation is nothing actually. So Korea is now a kind of transition age. We are not successfully moving actually. We are struggling now, very much struggling. There are so much serious gaps. So government strategic actions for digital transformation is tackling that gap, I think. That's the government kind of what the Korean government now does. I think this is, I hope this answer is helpful for your understanding in Korean situation. Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Nam. Do you have electronic government law or digital government law in Korea?
Yes, Korea have. Previously, electronic government law was revised in 2 years ago or 1 year ago, revised into digital government law. So that digital government law has some contents about digital transformation. And also there is another law, which is titled data-driven administration law.
Okay.
So those kind of laws stipulate digital transformation in the public sector.
Okay. And do you think the law is very important in order to making the digital transformation? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Legal structure is important in Korea.
Yes.
Especially, I think, in Asian culture.
Yes. Also in
Yes,
Indonesia, I think. Yeah.
So we have some three impacts of the law itself. First one is supporting, and second thing is regulating, and third thing is kind of announce, kind of propaganda sometimes.
Okay, campaign.
So people know that, people confirm that. Okay, we are in the very important track. So that kind of feeling, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Nam, for your very nice explanation about the Korean case.
Okay.
I would like to move to Mr. Cahyono. Pak Cahyono, maybe you could explain what the government in Indonesia is now doing and preparing for digital transformation.
Okay, thank you, Professor. It is be honor to discuss in this forum. So maybe I would like to, good morning, Professor Dessler. I agree what you were thinking about how to digital transform in Indonesia, which is it's not about the digital transport or digitalization, but it's about how to change the organization itself and to how to change the public service, which is already it become our program in our government in Indonesia. We regulate the e-government, which is consists of how to regulate the change the organization to move to digital transformation, and we can regulate our public service servant to change to become the digital mindset. And the third is to how to implement the technology, which is to implement the big data, IoT, and other to help to improve our public service. And also I agree about the Professor Taiwu, which is the digital transformation is not about the application, how to build the infrastructure, IT infrastructure, but the most important thing is how to change our mindset about the digital. And also, Professor, we have already in the e-government regulation, same like in Korea, but and also maybe in the problem, the same also in the problem, which is in central agency, maybe they have much capability to digital transform, but in the local government, they less to capability to deploying the digital transformation agency. And this is how to make sure our goal for government is to more maybe to harmonize and synchron all the digital initiative by using the enterprise architecture for government. And I think that's Profeko is to manage all the IT digital initiative is become more national wide in Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Pak Cahyono. I think the government of Indonesia has also designed the architecture of electronic governments, yeah. And as I know that you have also 6 dimensions or 6 variables to establish the digital transformation, including the, I think, business process re-engineering, yeah, data security, and also the application, the internal and also interface between the government and also the society, as well as the way how we develop the civil servants, yeah, in the competencies and also in the culture, yeah, shared culture, yeah, I think. Thank you, Pak Cahyono, and I would like to give time to Professor Agus Pramusinto. Maybe you could explain the condition of civil servant in Indonesia in cope with the process of digital transformations. Please, Pak Agus.
Thank you very much, Professor Eko, for inviting me to participate in this very prestigious talk show with our friend, Professor Wolfgang Drexler of Tallinn University of Technology, Estonia, and also Professor Nam from SKKU Korea. I think I have a very good connection with Professor Ki Hyun Kwon, Professor Rosamin Yocho, and also Professor Yim Jun Park. And also Mr. Cahyono replacing Ibu Rini from the Ministry of Administrative Reform. Yes, we have talked about administrative reform for a long time. And I remember when Professor Eko was the Vice Minister of at the Ministry of Administrative Reform, he introduced many things to improve the quality of bureaucracy. Until now, we are still struggling to continue the job. Yeah, there were 8 elements of administrative reform introduced, from institutional arrangement, governance, accountability, supervision, quality of regulation, human resources, public service delivery, and cultural service. Now, Professor Eko is inviting us to talk about digital transformation, something that improves what he has done before. We are talking about digital transformation. I think it is a necessity and cannot be avoided, because when we are leading to a world-class bureaucracy, the adoption of information technologies in various bureaucratic services is an urgent need. And I believe that digital transformation will make the bureaucracy more agile, services become more efficient and cheaper, and innovation in various services can jump faster. By digital transformation, we believe that we can use technology to improve the organization of various internal government activities by developing e-planning, e-budgeting, e-procurement, what else? E-procurement, e-recruitment, e-promotion, e-tax, e-permits, e-participation, and so on and so forth. And I believe that by digital transformation, we can also improve the public policy making process. For example, we can use social media to interact with and communicate with the public. We can use social media to listen to their aspiration and then process them into policies. And we no longer need to conduct like conventional surveys by going door to door, but simply use platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to have a dialogue on various public issues. However, we must remember that digital transformation is not just about using technology. The problem we face is that what is our mindset about service quality? If those who work in the bureaucracy do not have a culture to serve the community well, the digital transformation will not improve services. And digital transformation becomes meaningless. I'll give you an example. To do research, the researchers have to get permission from a minister, and it takes 1 until 2 weeks. All data entry processes are carried out online. However, the permit must be collected at the ministry in Jakarta. You can imagine. And I received information that because of the pandemic, the permit was sent via email. The question, will people have to pick up when the situation is normal in Jakarta at the minister office? What we see here is that technology is used to administer permits. It looks great. There seems to be significant progress, but unfortunately, researchers still have to take it in Jakarta. In many local governments, manual processing of research permit can be obtained within 2 until 3 days. But with the online, it takes 2 weeks. In the central government, using technology, the time is longer. Moreover, there is actually no need for a research permit because under the law on disclosure of public information, all information must be accessed except for like state secrets or concerning people's privacy and so on. So this is the situation we are facing. We have done a lot of things related digital transformation, but the culture of service do not change significantly. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Agus Pramosinto, for explaining the situation in Indonesia. Yeah.